find himself getting passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on. So Nurburgring in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. He doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani, not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Haig deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
I would say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the loud pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped him all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed Morton forward up ahead. He's got out of line. Is now Pike going to have a go at Werrell? Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such up. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden Miller's back in play.
Moving on to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's allowed to have fun. Yeah, it's all about the entertainment. So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching. The Burger King machines off into the grass a little bit there as they're really bunching up now.
find out.
Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
They're going to toss it. They haven't got it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such chopper. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry. Good evening and welcome back to the JPB GT4 Series Round 3 live from Road Atlanta. I am James Parfitt. I'm going to be joined in the booth by once again my good friend Mr. Alex Goldschmidt, who is going to join me for this epic evening of racing. Don't forget, we got a 15-minute sprint. We'll set the grid for the 45-minute feature with a pit stop. Let's bring you the scores on the doors. Currently in the Championship, it is Mike Pierce out in front on 138 points. Chris Barnes, 10 points back on 128, with Torno Uromets on 115 in third. Rob Williams in fourth on 113, with Danny Weston in fifth on 104. Then you've got Stuart Rice in sixth, Stefan Mellis, Ryan Taylor, Christopher Evans, Rachel Howe, Richard White, Jason Addington, Stuart Gibbons, and then you've got Damien Hurst and Callum Milam. In the Team Championship is Triple P Racing AMG with Barnes and Williams out in front on 241. Then Triple P Racing AMR with Evans and Rice on 147. In third is Team Zilla Racing with Danny Weston on 104. Then you've got Bonsai in fourth on 96 points. Triple P Racing AMC with 47 and Air Smart Racing 2 on 13. In the pro standings, it is Richard Simnar out in front of 139 points with Tim Perry on 124. Then you've got Mikey Pollard behind on 118 and Stin Benman on 112. Adam Hedgecock in fifth on 97 with Gavin Petty in sixth on 95. Arnold Chagnon on 92 in seventh. Deck Crowther in eighth on 62. Jordan Malcolm in ninth on 57 with Tom Weston on 57. Andy Jones on 56, T. Gashburn on 45, and then Ian Manners and Chris Needham. Now in the pro teams, it is AIRaceSummaries.com Tracy team with Pollard and Simnar out in front on 257. Altitude Esports in second with Hedgecock and Perry on 221. Then AIRaceSummaries.com/Jesse team with Benman and Pierce on 196. Air Smart Racing with Chagnon and Needham on 130. PDR with Gavin Petty on 95. AIRaceSummaries.com Lucy team with Manners and Ashburn on 83. Blade Designs on 69, Performance Links Esports on 57 with 19 MIX Raps Racing on 57. So you are now up to date. We are just about to go into qualifying. Let's bring Alex in the booth for a chat. Alex, welcome in. How are you?
All good. I've got Georgia on my mind tonight, Mr. Parfitt. What a track for this third round of what's going to be an epic calendar so far. You know, Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta has been around since 1970 and recently actually celebrated its 53rd anniversary. So many happy returns to Road Atlanta. And the grid looks to be a lot bigger than what we had at Phillip Island last time out. But the track temperature isn't being favourable to a few teams because already in the latter throws of free practice as the Checker comes out here, JP, we're recording 46 degrees track temperature, 24 degrees air, but there is some cloud cover overhead, which makes me a little bit worried, so to speak.
Well, this is the thing. I think because the way the sessions are set up on dynamic weather, it leaves iRacing open to say, well, you know, boys, you are in Road Atlanta. You know, it's hot, right? This is the way it's going to be. So we'll have to see that maybe we do. I don't know. It's a tough one, right? Because you want to run it as real life as possible, and one of the things is different temperatures, different countries, different weather. But you also don't want it where people are Bambi on ice, and I'm hoping that they should be okay, you know what I mean, and not overheat the tyres. But let's see how we get on. Let's see what happens in qualifying here, Alex. See how they do, and then once more we can make, decide going in whether or not the temperatures really need to come down, or whether or not people are struggling a little bit, because then we can make that adjustment, right? But I think for a minute, dynamic weather, that works.
Yeah, and as you've just been saying your spiel just then, the track temperature has increased by another 2 degrees, 48.3 degrees Celsius. But we've got what's going to be probably the best part of nearly 25 GT4 cars out around this 2.540 mile circuit that's been in use since 1998, and of course Road Atlanta is the home of the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship Petit Le Mans, and has done so since 1998, so that basically makes that probably 25th anniversary this year for the Petit Le Mans. But like we had at Phillip Island, we've got a lot of elevation changes, but also we've got a lot more flowing sections, especially coming through at T1, as we're seeing a few of the drivers go on to their first real push lap, and then you've got this sort of like sweeping sort of climbing over the blind crest through turns 2 and 3, down again you're going. And so it's a lot of sideways lateral movement through the tyres. So especially with the fact that the majority of the corners on this track are right-handers, and that could really give the right-hand side tyres, both front and rear, a little bit of drama, let's say.
Drama. I do love the word drama. And we did have seen quite a lot of drama, but generally overall, I think everybody loves Road Atlanta, right? Even I love Road Atlanta, and don't get me wrong, I barely drive, but I do love Road Atlanta when when we can get on the track, and it's very fast flowing. We've been there with the TCRs, and we were there with the Clios, where it was just basically down the hill, turn right at turn 5, and away you go again. But I think the racing can be exceptional here. One of the things I want to pick out is obviously turn 1. Now, turn 1, side by side, doesn't always work out so well for the poor individual on the outside, Alex. They normally end up on the grass going up the hill on the left. Too wide through turn 3. Again, the right at the top of the hill, that's going to be a tricky one for them as well to try and handle. And of course we've got the famous turn 5, the plummet down the hill through the S's of 4 and hit the curb on the outside, and unfortunately, well, there's either a wall one side or a wall the other, depending on which way the car wants to go.
Yeah, and especially in the final part of the circuit, coming out of turn 10B, underneath the bridge, and you're going over a blind crest, and you've got turns 11 and 12, and you're carrying that speed through. And I've seen TCR races on iRacing where the person on the outside has then either kept it stuck on the asphalt or has ended up exiting stage left and sticking it in the barriers on the immediate left-hand side. That is also going to be another touch point around this circuit. But yeah, it's fast, it's flowing. Already Steen Veenman with the fastest lap in qualifying at the moment, 1 minute 26.005, just a tenth ahead of Tim Perry, Richard Simnor, Andy Jones, Paddy Falconer, showing the strength of the Aston Martins as they round out the top 5, covered by 8 tenths. Mike Pierce is the fastest of the AMs at the moment, 1 minute 26.939, just ahead of Derek Crowther. Jason Haddington, I've noticed, has yet to come out of pit lane. Richard White, Christopher Evans, Taro Oromet, Stuart Gibbons, Mike Pollard, all have yet to set a lap time. And as I say that, Simnor goes to top, 1 minute 25.811.
Yeah, Tim Perry put himself into third. He was catching the draft there off the car in front, Alex, and I thought that was going to be an amazing run from Tim Perry because he had full help there as well. Paddy Faulkner is obviously new to the series this week. He messaged me and said, "Hey mate, can I join?" I was like, "Yeah, Paddy, if you want to come along." So he has there as well. Obviously I know Paddy from his DCW days where, well, let's just say they had a tendency to take each other out, but not so much, hopefully, for Paddy this week. He should be a nice, clean race here, Alex. And I think it's going to be one of them races where we're going to sit back and just think, wow, what have we just watched? Because there are passing opportunities here at Road Atlanta. You know, you've got the long run from 7 down to 10A. You can have a crack down at 10A if you want as well. We did watch a race the other day. Me and Zach in the Clios, and the outside line through 10A just didn't work all night. The inside won on that battle there as well. So they are going to have to pick whether or not the outside or inside. Maybe if they're brave up through 1. But other than that, unless they can get a good run out of 5, I think 6 and 7 might be the only opportunity, which does give them a broad spectrum of corners to make moves, doesn't it? I think that's one of the things we're going to be looking at.
Yeah, I mean, the turn 10A and 10B chicane is a bit like the final chicane at the Nurburgring GP circuit, which we'll be visiting on November 8th for our 10th and final round. Tim Perry has just gone quickest, followed by Mikey Pollard. Half a tenth covering them at the moment. Top 8 rounded out by the fastest of the BMWs. Derek Crowther in the 167 is 8th, just over a second off of the pace. But again, like we saw last time out at Phillip Island, but Chris Barnes throws his 2 cents into the ring, goes P6 on a 126.182. So half a second covering the top 6 drivers. But let's not forget what happened last time out at Phillip Island, especially in race number 1.
Yes. Well, it was an interesting one, wasn't it, Phillip Island, I think, in general. Phillip Island, very fast-flowing circuit, right? You know, you've got all the makeup of what plans to be and should be an epic circuit of racing. But depending on the situational cars, I think, and the way it works with drivers. You know, I think there's a lot of entities that go with it, isn't there, when you're trying to get a lot of drivers on a track and say, right, go for it. You know what I mean? So there's going to be a lot of things that they've got to work out. I think down here, this Road Atlanta might make it a little bit easier. Everybody knows this course. Everybody's run this course. If you've run Petit Le Mans, if you've run officials in any particular car class, you know Road Atlanta. It's on pretty much most, if not all, official schedules at some point throughout the year. So this one itself should be a little bit better.
Yep, as we are coming down into the final 2 minutes and 20. Tim Perry still out there. Derek Crowther's decided to jump into pit lane, so has Robert Williams. Ian Manners has just jumped up to 11th, followed by Christopher Evans. So that makes it 3 Aston Martins in the top 12. Paddy Falconer has just pipped Andy Jones by just over a tenth as the leading Aston Martin. But great shout out for Derek Crowther. Tauno Oromets, the Estonian driver in the number 70 BMW, has just gone P10 on a 126.543. But Chris Barnes, definitely the best of the Mercs out there. Danny Weston's not doing a bad shout in 11th.
Yeah, 4th overall in the AMS at the moment for Danny, so that's a great job from him. One of the things for Danny as well, he's actually beating his brother, Tom, who's a pro, and Danny's an AM. So that's one up for the Western household for Danny on that one there as well, beating his brother at Road Atlanta. So let's see how this one pans out. We've still got no Jace Haddington. Stuart Rice has set a time. Richard White has as well. Stefan Mellis, Stuart Gibbons, they've all started getting times on the board. Adam Hedgecock not doing so well at the moment in that Porsche. Neither is Rob Williams in the Mercedes. They're quite a way back. Andy Jones in that Aston Martin where he did so well at Phillip Island. Of course, you know, he was, I think it was the leading Aston Martin, if I wasn't mistaken, there as well, was Andy Jones. So, you know, he's still doing a great job, sitting 9th overall as well. But Mike Pierce and Chris Barnes for the AMS doing a stellar job there.
Yeah, Mike Pierce has just returned to garage, so he must have had a big old off on his final push lap because we've got 38 seconds on the timer remaining. Andy Jones comes out of the final corner, out of turn number 12, puts the 007 up to, luckily enough, P7, and is only less than 2 tenths behind Chris Barnes. But will Andy Jones still get a lap in as we've got 23 seconds on the timer? He's going to try and risk it for the biscuit, I think.
I think he is, but I don't believe he's going to get there, not unless all of a sudden his car turns into a transformer and he can fly. Tim Perry's heading down. He's only got about 10 seconds left to go of Quali as well. It's going to be Perry, I believe, is going to take the pro pole, and Mikey Pierce in the arms. So great job from all of these guys. Then we can bring you up the grid now. This is how it's going to look for race 1. Tim Perry will be in first place. Mike Pollard second. Richard Simnor in third. Stim Venmont in fourth. Mike Pierce fifth. Chris Barnes in sixth. The leading AMS. Andy Jones seventh. Derek Carver eighth. Paddy Faulkner ninth. Tom Weston 10th. Torno Oromets in 11th. Danny Weston down in 12th. Chris Needham 13th. Ian Manners. Christopher Evans. Arnold Chagnon are 14th, 15th, 16th. Stuart Gibbons, Stephen Mellis, Adam Edgecott, Rob Williams, Richard White, Stuart Rice and Jace Haddington on the last one there as well. Pace lap kicking in is going to be an exciting one as well. Now's the time to get your drinks, get your popcorn, settle back and enjoy some great racing here as well.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing here, JP, is the fact we've got 5 Porsches still waiting for the likes of Steve Vayman, Derek Crowther, Paddy Faulkner, Stuart Gibbons. They're the only drivers that are just waiting to ready up on the grid, and then the Porsche safety car can take us around this circuit, which is just shy of 2.5 miles. But if Phillip Island last week was anything to go by, folks, wait for the word of the day: unpredictability.
That is definitely going to be one of the things, isn't it? The first sprint race should be okay. They can just go. It's when it comes to that pit stop and feature, that's where sometimes the issues lie.
Yeah, Porsche pace car now starts to lead the field. So Perry and Pollard on the front row. Simnor and Veenman. I mean, you know what? I'm really, really looking forward to this, JP. I mean, track temperature's nearly as high as Phillip Island just 1 week ago, as the field now sort of, something will start weaving from left to right, get a little bit of extra temperature in the tyres as they're coming over the crest in towards turn number 2. And I'm wondering what the strategy game is. I mean, Tim Perry has got to really nail the start, like we saw with Richard Simnor at Phillip Island. As soon as you nail that start and you're a good 3 car lengths in front, that's your perfect opportunity. But the run coming out of turn 12, you are going to be at full flat chat, foot to the floor. You're going to be wrestling with the back end of the car, and especially in these Porsches, one wrong move and it all turns 180 degrees the wrong way. Yeah,
Porsche does Porsche things. I think that's the philosophy. To be honest with you, it doesn't seem to matter if it's a GT3 or a GT4. The Porsche still does Porsche things, which is very unpredictable. It can kind of do there as well. Dan Mold, Go Blade Designs. He said, Pierce even in America. In it, let's go. Says Mikey Pierce, who is sitting in 5th in the standings overall. But here we go. We've got that nice gentle run this time, Alex, down the long straight. I think that's the only time we're going to be saying that, to be honest.
And it is a mammoth one. I thought the run out of T5 to T6 was longer. Then T7 to turn 10A is an absolute country mile. I hate to think what the nearest state is to Georgia, but I think whoever's leading the way will be making a break for it over the county line.
Definitely. And you know what as well? I reckon Tim Perry, if he's got any sense here, and don't get me wrong, he drives better than me, I would back him up into the chicane, let the pace car go, hold him, and then as we get under the bridge, I would boat. I would be gone. And
yeah, that's a very, very fair point. I mean, a bit like Carlos and Lando in Singapore last week for the Formula One. Perfect example of that.
I would be bolting very, very shortly. And he has gone, as Tim Perry. As soon as he come under the bridge, the pace car's in, and the sprint race is up and running. Perry's made that jump, then Pollard, then Simard, then Venman behind them there as well. So it's all green racing at the moment, Alex. Let's see how they get on through turn 1. Are they all going to make it through cleanly? Let's check the back of the field, and they do once more. Everybody through turn 1 up the hill is a great start to this evening of racing.
Yeah, just noticed at the back end of the field, Stefan Mellis looking towards the high, wide and handsome line around the outside of turn number 1 on Robert Williams. But the biggest move at the moment is Adam Hedgecock. He's already made up a couple of positions from 19th on the grid. Oh, Taro Oromets has just dropped a couple of places to Tom and Danny Weston. Tom in front of Danny at the minute, as they're 3 abreast, heading in the run down to the 90 right here at turn 6, as Taro Oromets gets an absolute fright and a half. He had Christopher Evans around the outside of him. Oh, Oromets gets spun round! Spun around, gets the Estonian.
Oh, dearie me, that was involving Ian Manners, I believe, and I got a funny feeling it may have actually been Manners that may have made that initial contact. There is Oromets. He goes round. That's Manners in the Merc. Oh, it's one of the Air Smart. That's Shonyonye. Shonyonye put him round, and unfortunately there, straight into Ian Manners and Toro Oromets down the back end of the field. But it's Mikey Pollard out in front at the moment here, Alex, with Tim Perry chasing him down. Perry got about 4/10 jump at the beginning. He did what I thought he should do, get the jump, get on his bike straight coming out of 12 under the bridge, and he did that amazingly.
Yeah, just keep an eye on Richard Simnor swarming all over the back of Mikey Pollard as they make their way through into turn number 4 and now hit the S's. Downward descent, roller coaster ride part of Road Atlanta, over onto the curbing, over the crest, through the second part of the S's. They'll be going through turn 5 now, and it's the short run up to the 90 right at turn 6. So Simnor wants to get past Pollard and try and get onto level pegging with Tim Perry. He's got to do something quickly, but the back straightaway coming out of T7, which they're just about to hit the apex of now. As I say that, Tim Perry's just gone through. So Simnor's going to get a wicked double toe here, considering the fact that the top 3 are covered by 0.8 of a second. Steen Vayman runs out the top 4. Mike Pearce in 5th. Closely, well, he's about a quarter of a second. Look who's behind him. Chris Barnes in the 245, doing an absolutely stellar job in 6th position, and Mike Pearce is having to go left, right, and then everywhere.
Yeah, Tim Perry weaving hard on a man knitting a jumper at that point. I'm not going to lie. He was all over the side of the circuit. He went one way, then the other, then the other. Come on, Tim, we'll give you knit needles next time. You knit me a jumper in the process. But at the end of the day, I don't like it. I'm a one-man move kind of guy, but then again, when you've been brought up on F1, that's kind of what you live with. And Chris Evans is having a nice little battle with Tom Weston further down here with Chris Needham, Shonyonye and Hedgecott trying to come through the field. Weston and Evans almost running too wide up round turn 1. Evans thought about it, slots back in again, points it at the tree at the top of the hill, which is their turning marker. Down through they go now, off on that run down through 4. And these guys are not letting up at the moment. Weston's looking all out of shape for the S's. Can he get it straightened up? Or turn 5, that tricky turn 5. If you take the curb on the outside, you've got to be careful. He didn't get a good run, and here comes Evans now, Alex.
Yeah, towards the outside of the number 10 Porsche. They're swapping positions like nobody's business. Through out of turn 7, the Aston Martin carries the grip very, very nicely. There's a little bit of a touch between the two, and the Porsche is round. Porsche is round. Oh, dearie me. That is not exactly what Chris Needham needed, and he's already returned to the garage. Tom Weston has just had an off track. We're going to have a look at the replay so you can see that Evans is towards the outside. Now, this is through turn 6. They're going to come through into turn 7. Oh, little bit of a touch going into the corner, and then there's a secondary bit of contact.
Yeah, and then Needham, unfortunately, just a bit of a passenger at this point, sitting on the side of the circuit. Needham is all the way back into the pits. Evans is still running up front. We've still got this battle. Perry, Pollard, Simnar and Venman, with Chris Barnes 1.1 back here as well. The AI race summary, boys. Sorry. Oh, there was contact. Pollard's going to have a slowdown. It's back again. The AI race summaries, or DCW, whatever you want to call them, are back into their old habits, making contact with each other. I'm not entirely sure there's team orders. I personally probably don't think there is. Yeah, not a good look for these, really.
We had the other additional letter added last time out at Phillip Island, and I added a 5th one to that. So I'm just going to call them the Arise Massive, as in they arise, they hit the track, and they nearly take each other out. But keep your eyes on the back of Mike Pollard, because there is Chris Barnes, and he's right up the Porsche's exhaust pipes in a minute. That has allowed, well, Steen Veenman is now in third, about 1.3 seconds behind Richard Simnor, who is catching and took over half a second out of Tim Perry on the previous tour. It was 1:27.681 for the race leader. And there is Simnor. We're coming out of turn 11 and 12 with 9 minutes and 10 seconds to go. This is where Simnor's really going to exploit that momentum, the slipstream. And he's he's bump drafting, he's looking up the inside. Simnor's going to launch it. Is there going to be contact? A little bit of a hip check. Simnor's going to get the leader over the rise. Perry has the lead coming through, and there's a little bit of a touch. They're both into the barriers. Both into the barriers at the same time.
Perry and Simnor in the wall. No, no, no. That is not how we wanted that one to end from Tim Perry or Richard Simnor. They come over the top. Slight contact there. Simnor almost looked like he cut it across Tim Perry. I'll try and have a look on top of the chopper. It looks like Chris Evans has had a moment as well here. But let's see if we can see on the chopper. Did he come over? Perry was there. Oh,
well, I mean...
one.
It is. I mean, Perry was about a quarter of the length alongside Simnor. So Simnor did have the run, but if there was a little bit too much steering input, that just happens. Mike Pierce now new fastest lap of the race, 1:26.2. And who would have thought it? We had a top 5 Porsche lockout on the grid. Chris Barnes is now third and battling away with Mike Pierce. Now, if I'm very much mistaken, Chris Barnes and Mike Pierce are AMs, and they're in the top 4.
Yeah, they definitely are. There is Mike Pierce there. He's chasing down Barnes. Barnes is in front in that AM battle at the moment. They're doing a great job here, these two, once more showing their pace. Barnes, he knew he had to go out and get Pierce. Pierce has been showing great pace already this season, so Barnes, he knew he had to up his game, and he has done that, and he's gone out now as well. The question is for Pierce, does he fight Andy Jones, or does he let Andy Jones go? It's going to be a tough one for the man in the middle, because he is an AM and they are pros around him.
Yeah, he's got that sort of bit of a hard, being a rock and a hard place situation at the moment, James. But Jones again just showing the prowess, and the Aston Martin is able to stretch its legs. Paddy Falconer right with Andy Jones. So don't be at all surprised, folks, that we've got about just under 7 minutes still to go in the sprint race. 45-minute feature with a mandatory pit stop coming up next, and a reverse grid top 10. I wouldn't be at all surprised if the Astons make it into the top 5. I mean, Jones is already there. Falconer's 3 tenths behind. They're chasing down Pierce. They're chasing down Barnes. My apologies there. Thank you for correcting me, James. The sprint race determines the grid for the feature.
Yes.
Yeah, you can see I'm just getting a bit too overexcited, folks.
That's okay, mate. That's okay. I
love a reverse grid, though.
I do love a reverse grid as well, but the way we've done it is that there's no reverse. This finishing position sets a grid for the next one now as well. So, let's... it's tough because we do so many series, so don't worry about it. I forget what I'm doing after time either. But at the end of the day, you know what I mean? We've got to try it. It's a tough one. People are going to have to bear with us. Stephen Mellis having a go at Rob Williams a little bit further down here. Now, I spoke to Williams earlier on, right? It was up to about 7:30, and I rang him up and I said, Mr. Williams, where are you? I'm not worried, he said. I'll be all right. He said, don't you worry, Mr. Parfitt, I'll be there. I said, all right. I said, no worries.
Oh, Tom Weston. Tom Weston's just returned to garage. Oh no. What's happened there? Has he had a drama?
Oh, out of one. Hit the curb in the wall.
Bang.
Oh,
that won't buff out.
No, definitely not here as well. So, for Mr. Williams there, the fact he's made it, the fact he's sitting 4th overall in the AMS was a great job. He took his first podium as well, if I'm not mistaken, last week at Phillip Island. I'm pretty sure he did. Yep. Yeah, he did. He got second. His first ever podium in the GT4s. And if I can remember correctly, actually, I think that's his first ever podium in a JPB league, if I remember. Now, Tim Perry's carrying damage there because Williams has just gone shooting past him. So I think Tim Perry is carrying damage in that Porsche. So unfortunately, it looks like he might go further back. Chris Barnes and Mike Pierce side by side. let's not
That's going to be a bit gnarly. That's coming through turn 2 over the crest, down into 3. Barnes has made it stick, though. And look at Andy Jones, Paddy Falconer, and bringing up the rear of that multi-car train, Derek Crowther in the 167 BMW. Now, I thought the BMW might have been a bit of a disadvantage in qualifying, and that was shown through Derek and also Tauno Oromets, who's dropped all the way down to 17th overall. But this is a great scrap. And look who's in the background. Can you hear the Jaws music burning into your eardrums? Because I spy with my little eye a certain Mercedes, the number 69. There's Danny Weston.
Yeah, Danny Weston trying to keep up, get onto the back of these guys as well, turn this into a 5-car fight. It's interesting as well here that Dek Qualva is in that BMW, of course. It is his car of choice this season, so great job from Dek to see how he gets on as well. He messaged me, mate, I need to sort everything out. What's going on? I need to change my car. I was like, all right. So off he went as well. So he changed his car. Paddy Faulkner is obviously new, just joined. He's sitting in 6th overall, 4th in class, up 3 places. Biggest loser, though, is Tim Perry, and he's losing, as I say, look at the front of that Porsche. He's definitely losing a lot of time here. Oh, Tim!
Oh, off at turn 11, and there is Stefan Mellis ready to pick up the pieces, and the McLaren gets through on the start-finish straight. Yeah, Perry's going to be sort of like thinking, I don't really need that, and up the inside, who on earth is that?
Richard White.
And then, careful, lads. Keep your elbows sharpened, but keep them in when you're going through the crest, through this very, very technical, very reminiscent of Suzuka, which we'll head to later on in the season, but with a lot more elevation changes, and you're carrying a lot more speed through. So this is going to be, I think, quite crucial in the battle between Mellis, Perry, Gibbons, Richard White. Stuart Rice is at the back end of this train in the number 42 McLaren. And they're covered probably by the best part of just around about 2 seconds. In the meantime, though, JP, Mike Pollard is within half a second of the race leader.
Yeah, so I've been watching him. He's slowly been closing in as Pollard. 125.79 for Venman, 125.72 for Pollard there. So let's see how these guys get on. Again, they are in the same team. You can see the Barnes, Pierce and Battle behind, with Jones, Faulkner and Crowther just bringing it up. Danny Weston's dropping a little bit off at the moment, unfortunately. Not really making inroads as much as he would probably hope here. And Mike Pierce, well, yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because he's fighting with the man in front of him. So he's going to want a race. But he's also got these looming pros. It really is that rock hard play situation. He knows he has to fight already and try and get onto Barnesy and hold on to him. But he's also got Andy Jones, and he's got to pick which way he's going to go.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, that when you've got to make that split-second decision, do I attack, do I defend? And now Chris Barnes has got the afterburner jets activated on the Mercedes, because he's about a second ahead of Pierce. Jones has got Faulkner to his right-hand side as they're going to go through turn 9. Now, this is flat out, folks, at over 145 miles an hour in 6th gear. But Jones is still going to have the inside line here for turn 10A. And Mr. BF John saying Barnesy is doing the business. Oh, that's a bit of a contact between the two Aston Martins. I think Faulkner was trying to look up the inside. Andy Jones was trying to keep it pinned on the racing line, and Faulkner's just gone into the side of him. It's a bit of an unfortunate incident. We're going to go to the helicam shot on this one. So Jones has got the inside line. Faulkner's going to turn in now, and bang! There's the contact right between the chicane, and that's a bit of a tough one to call. But then that has also allowed Derek Crowther, who's just profited from that quite significantly. He's now up into 6th overall. But Andy Jones, I mean, credit to Paddy Faulkner for trying not to make a late lunge, but I think he just was carrying too much speed. There's Mike Pierce! Pierce is off and in the barriers!
Oh, turn 5! There it is! There it is!
Oh, Oh, that's a hard hit.
The outside curb of 5. I knew we were going to get there, and I knew somebody was going to get there. And unfortunately, it was Piercy did do that one as well, and his car is shot. I can guarantee if we look in the inside of that, it is not looking good. He's got the car, it's all loose. He doesn't know what to do. He does have another incident further down here as well. It is turn 5 doom and gloom for Mike Pierce. Unfortunately, he's on the curb again. Not good for Piercy, but we did say it was coming and somebody was going to get there, and unfortunately it was Mike Pierce.
And the white flag is already out because Steen Veerman leading Mike Pollard by just under a quarter of a second. Chris Barnes, 6.3 seconds back, is still running in a solid P3 and leading the AM classification. But you see the battle now. That's between Robert Williams in 10th. Stefan Mellis, give that guy a shout out. He's running P9 overall as they are all flooding across the line. Steen Veerman has taken the checkered and wins the sprint race by just a quarter of a second ahead of Mike Pollard. Chris Barnes, what a job by the 245. Top AM takes an overall top 3. Paddy Faulkner 4th, despite that incident with Andy Jones, who comes across the line to finish in 6th. In the Aston Martin sandwich, there was a bit of BMW meat, courtesy of Derek Crowther, who ran at the top 5. But yeah, I mean, what an opener here at Road Atlanta, and there are the finishing results on your screen. So Veerman takes it, Pollard in second, Barnes winning the AM class and taking P3. What a great opener for tonight, JP.
Yeah, definitely there as well. Paddy Faulkner in 4th, Crowther 5th, Andy Jones, and then Danny Weston getting a great 2nd place in the AMs. That's going to do him a world of good for Danny as well. Nice little chunk of points there. Arnold Chonyonye in 8th, then Mellis, Williams, Pearce and Gibbons of the AMs. Tim Perry in the 13th, Stuart Rice, Richard White, Torno Oromet and Jason Haddington. And then further down from there, Ian Manners, Richard Simnar, Chris Evans, Tom Weston, Adam Edgecock and Chris Needham. That's going to be a very interesting grid, with the fact that if you look in the top 10 or the top 15, it's quite a heavy presence in that one.
Oh, big style. Shout out to the AM Massive on the JPB GT4 series here at Road Atlanta. But, you know, Chris Barnes doing a great job. Danny Weston getting a top 2 in 7th. Stefan Mellis, I mean, that's his best result so far, and we're only into the 5th race this season, and it's the third sprint. So Stefan Mellis, you know, let's be completely honest, didn't have a great run of luck at Phillip Island. He was in the wars, in the trenches, but the bonsai McLaren really has shown that he can profit when others lose their heads a little bit, so to speak.
That's what I'm thinking. And let's see if he can profit in this one, because if I'm not mistaken, that is his first podium as well for Stefan Mellis. So a great job from him. We are in a little 2.5 minute of warm up before we get underway for the 45 minute here, Alex. If that first 15 minutes is anything to go by, that next 45 is going to be, well, somewhat interesting.
Well, you know what they say, triple the time, triple the fun. That's what we're going to have in this second race. But then we've also got the added benefit of a pit stop. Now, for those wondering about the pit stops we've been seeing in the previous feature races, the season opener, and also here, also at Phillip Island. So when we did Oulton Park, you know, people were in the pit box for about 15 to 20 seconds. We did see a couple of drivers last time out at Phillip Island in the feature having around about 18-second pit stops. But it is also about the fact that with these more significant elevation changes here at Road Atlanta, the fuel mileage might be a little bit more manageable than it was, say, at Phillip Island. Oulton Park also has its fair share of elevation changes. So we've gone to 3 very different circuits, but this so far, I've been seeing the top speeds of like 152, 153 miles an hour. And that's when drivers are probably from the top 10 downwards, when they're getting the slipstream, especially coming out of turn 7. and heading all the way down that long old back straight, which probably measures the best part of nearly a mile, into turns 10A and 10B. So that's where you've got to really maximise that opportunity. If you go onto that, if you get a good run coming out of turn 7, and you've got maybe 1, maybe even 2 cars in front of you, that's going to give you an extra 5 to 6 miles an hour additional speed. And then you get the benefit of the side draft, especially if you're going to come harrowing through turn 9 at a big old rate of speed like we saw with Andy Jones and Paddy Faulkner in race 1. Now you're going to see, we're going to get an understanding of the speed. So 135 miles an hour, speed is climbing, 140 going down into the dip, and that's about 140, nearly 150 miles an hour, folks. That's a lot of speed, and then you've got to scrub it all down and be very, very committed. Turn 10A and 10B, the chicane before you go over the crest underneath the bridge through T11. That's where you've really got to be on your A game. You can't really make a slip up, as we found out with Paddy Faulkner colliding with the side of Andy Jones in race 1. But from that perspective, it shows that the Porsches, again, for another race this season, haven't had it their own way.
No. They come out strong, didn't they, the Porsche? There was that 5-6 car contingency at the, you know, that we've seen this season, and now it's getting all mixed up with a couple of Mercedes in there as well. It just maybe might be changing from track to track. Maybe this is a very Merc circuit, and maybe it could be a Merc race here, and I'm hoping that we do get a Merc race, and I think it would be amazing. But let's have a quick look at the grid. It is Stijn Venneman on first, then Mike Pollard second. Now this is where it's going to get interesting. Chris Barnes, the leading arm, in third, the Paddy Faulkner fourth, Derek Crowther fifth, Andy Jones in sixth. Then you've got Danny Weston in seventh, Arnold Chagnonier. Now we've got that AM present. Stefan Mellis, Rob Williams, Mike Pierce, and Stuart Gibbons round out the top 12. Tim Perry, Stuart Rice, and Richard White round out the top 15. Torno Oromets in 16, Jason Addington 17. Now this is where it's going to get spicy. Ian Manners, Richard Simnar, Chris Evans, Tom Weston, Adam Hedgecock, Chris Needham down the back end of the field here, Alex. This is where the spice is going to happen, I think, as these guys start coming through the field.
Especially Simnor, with the pace that he's shown all season so far, as the Porsche pace car leads the field away around this nearly 2.5 mile circuit. Don't be at all surprised that Simnor makes up ground early. Now, he's going to be starting down in 19th. I would not expect any less than probably 5 positions gained by the end of the opening lap for Richard in the number 21. That, I would probably say, if he can start by getting the traffic that's in front of him, that he knows that he'll be able to pass rather easily, out of the way quickly, that will help his strategy later on in the race. He's got to go full push, but be careful at the same time.
Yeah, he's got to play it smart. He's got to remind me of Pete Newman-esque. He's got to be an Iceman. He's got to be sensible, you know, and he's got to be a little bit gentle. Tiptoe through. Treat them all with kid gloves, you know. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, they're now coming out of turn number 5, where we saw that big old moment. But folks, you know what? We are set. We are ready for 45 minutes here at round number 3 of the JPB GT4 Series, live and virtually direct from Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. JP, coming down this long old back straight. This is going to be where we're going to see a lot of overspeed, aren't we?
We are, definitely, as well. And if I was Venman, I would pull a Perry. Under the...
Oh, yes. Yes, indeed.
Yes, indeed. Back them up. Get them under the bridge. Go. That's what I would do. Let the pace car go. You know, give him that 10 lengths, whatever he needs. Off you go.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then as soon as you start coming out of that 10B, off you go. See you later.
Right, folks. The Porsche pace car peeling away. Stijn Venneman is holding back a little bit, but he's got a little bit of an advantage over Mike Pollard. as the field now makes its way through turn 10A. Now into turn 10B. Wienman is going to try and time it right so he catches Pollard napping. Under the bridge they go. Now Wienman's gone. Pollard's gone with him. Barnes has got Faulkner to the outside coming out of the final corner. Red lights on the gantry. Pace car in the pits. We are green and underway, and that is already a massive drama for Chris Barnes coming out of the final corner onto the start-finish straight. It has caused calamity behind, but Steve Wienman gets the jump on Mike Pollard. 3.5 tenths is the advantage going up the hill through turn 2 on the opening tour. And Richard White is off. Chris Barnes already in pit lane. But Steve Wienman at the moment leads the way. Pollard in second. Faulkner, Jones, Crowther, Weston, Chanonnier has already jumped up 1 position. Andy Jones jumped up from 6th to 4th in that opening skirmish. Make that nearly up the back bumper of Paddy Faulkner as they make their way out of turn 5 for the opening tour. Down the dip into the right-hander here at turn 6. Jones really putting Faulkner under pressure for 3rd place, but Wienman at the moment has got a 6.5 tenth of a second advantage over Mikey Pollard as they come out of turn 7. Now it's the long drag down to turn 10A.
Yeah, we got Wienman leading the way with Derek Crowther. He's trying to push on to the back of Danny Weston. I want to have a look at what happened to Barnes. I've got a funny feeling I know what happened to Barnes, and that was the outside curb of turn 12 has put him into a wall on the right-hand side. Crowther's dropping down the hill now. There's a little bit of a defensive move from Jones at the moment. Does manage to hold on. They're too wide further back. I believe that's Tim Perry and Stephen Mellis. No, it is Tim Perry, but it's also with Stuart Rice. But let's have a quick look and see if we can catch what happened to Barnes here. Oh, was it on his own?
It might have been on his own. Hits the curb. Or the back. Yeah, he just lost it. He just lost it inside curb coming out of turn number 12. But I did say Richard Simnor needs to gain 5 places by the end of lap number 1. He's gained 7. He's up to 12th, and he's right up the rear bumper of Stuart Rice and the number 42, Aston Martin. And there he is. There's Simnor. He has handled this first opening lap with kid gloves. At the moment, Steve Wienman has nearly a 1-second lead over Mike Pollard. But I did say it was about how Simnor responds in this second race. He's done it absolutely textbook and exceeded what I thought he might do. But he runs a little bit wide coming out of turn 5.
Yeah, he definitely does there as well. Unfortunately, did you see the AM involved with Chris Barnes? He's at the back end of the field at the moment.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Mikey Pierce was the one that absolutely levered Chris Barnes there as well. So the 2 guys that did a stellar job in race 1, Alex, are both of them at the back of the field and have now got to try and work their way through once more. So it's going to be interesting to keep an eye on that one. Up front at the moment, Paddy Faulkner having a go with Andy Jones, and we've got a Porsche, Aston, BMW top 5 at the moment, rounded up by Derek Crowther.
Yeah, and then we've also got a triple threats of Mercedes, courtesy being led by Danny Weston. Arnaud Chanonnier is within 4.5 tenths of him at the moment. Wienman leading by just over 1.1 seconds as they head into turn number 1 on lap number 3. Fastest lap by the Flying Dutchman. He is quite literally flying. He doesn't need wings on that Porsche. That very much is true. 1 minute 26.289. And Pollard is going to have to watch himself because closing in on, well, Paddy Faulkner last time out, last lap was over 1.5 tenths slower. And this is where it gets interesting, folks, because Wienman now with that lead of over 1.1 seconds. Faulkner and Jones, okay, top 4 at the moment covered by 2.5 seconds. There you see the split between the AMs and the pros on the left-hand side of your screen on the timing tower. But Stijn Wienman looking for his first win of the season, and he's done exactly what he needed to do. But Andy Jones is closing in on Paddy Faulkner for that 3rd place.
Yeah, Tim Perry's having a go at Rob Williams here down the straight as well. Williams sitting in second in the AMs with a 2-second gap over Stuart Rice behind him as well. So there's really no need to do any more.
Oh, Simnor! Simnor trying to thread the eye of the needle. He gets through, and I think he's going to get Perry going into turn 10A. Yes, he has. That's brilliant work from Richard Simnor. Just used the slipstream coming behind Tim Perry, and then just went, right, I'm going to split you guys right in the middle. Nearly gave me a coronary And Simnor is absolutely on a mission right now.
There he is. He's flying at the moment, sitting 7th overall, up 11 places. Williams did the right thing there as well. I think for him, he just turned around and went, nope, not getting involved with that. You guys crack on. As Ian Manners is going up trying to go up the inside of Stefan Mellis. Hedgecock's trying to come around the outside of Mellis going into turn 2 as free. You got to leave him room. He does give him room. That was a good move from Adam Hedgecock, because that could have gone a little bit south really quickly there, and he done a great job side by side with Mellis as they now come through 4. Watching that exit curve of 5, we saw it claim Mike Pierce in race 1. Didn't claim Adam Hedgecock, but I'm sure that won't be the last one on that one, I tell you that much, as Evans is battling away with Mellis.
He's going around the outside again at his favourite overtaking spot through turn 6. Passes the McLaren like it was standing still, manages to nail the apex. So Mellis has now got someone very, very close up his rear bumper. But yeah, Christopher Evans, again, I think that he's done 2 of the best overtakes so far this season through turn 6, which is so difficult to pass at. But Chris Evans just made it look so damn easy around the outside of the McLaren. And that just goes to show. That's for 15th place. Stefan Mellis now loses out to Tom Weston, who's up the inside of him through turn 10A. Well, we're over 6 minutes in, folks. Pick a winner from this one.
No. I
like how you were so direct with that one. No.
Yeah, you can't. You can't, can you? Because look at who you've got coming through the field. You've got Simnar, you've got Perry, you've got Chris Needham trying to make gains, you've got Hedgecock trying to make gains as well. You know, so there's a lot involved. And you've got the Benman, you've got Pollard, Faulkner, Jones, Crowther, Weston. And in hindsight, even an Am, where these guys are at the moment, Alex, even they could come out and take this. Look at Daddy Weston. First place in the AM, 6th overall. The leaders are just up the road a little bit. Even he's got an opportunity. Come back to me with 15 to go and I might have a more definitive answer. But right now, not a clue.
Well, there is one thing that is definitely consistent over the past 2 weeks. Track temperature now, 51.1 degrees Celsius. These tyres could be absolutely tortured over the next 38 minutes of this race here at Road Atlanta for round 3 of the JPB GT4 series. Next week on September 27th, well, we head from stateside to the North Sea coast, because Zandvoort will be the scene of round number 4, and there I can very much guarantee you that the weather might play a bit of a factor. But yeah, I mean, the battle here between the 2 Aston Martins, Faulkner and Jones, they're like 2 petulant children in the playground battling over the last swing. And right behind them is like, hello, remember me? It's Derek Crowther in the 167. He's having an absolute blast in that M4.
Yeah, he's not giving up his old deck. He's giving a go. Don't forget to get deck and blade designs. Of course, we must give a shout out to Tom Weston. Obviously, simracingcommunity.com. Go and check them out as well. All of your sim racing needs will be on there. You've got forums, paint, setups. There's news, views, me. There's a lot going on. So go and check out Sim Racing Community there with Tom Weston. Great website. Go and have a look at it at the moment here as well. Chris Barnes trying to make his way back. He's got Richard White in the mix at the moment as well. Stuart Rice has had a moment and has dropped all the way down into 18th, young sir. And this is what poor old Stuart Rice has been up to. Now, was it on his own coming round 7? It was.
Oh, and he got a touch from behind as well.
Yeah, I mean, that was
when he
Adam
locked
Hedgecock.
back in, yeah. Oh, dearie me, Adam Hedgecock doesn't seem to have the amount of luck at the moment. I mean, he was Mr. No Luck last time out at Phillip Island. And then Tom Weston is trying to go with Christopher Evans round the outs. Oh, don't try it there at turn 10B. Oh, my goodness. Tom Weston went, yeah, I'm going to give it the Hail Mary, and then thought, I better not. I might need a change of virtual new Nomex after that.
Yes, definitely did. He had a go, though. That was the thing. He had a go, right? And I think that was a good time to have a go, but all he needed there was, Barnsley, or Evans, sorry, to open up the steering a little bit, and Tom Weston would have seen the old pit lane entry, I'm pretty sure, on the left-hand side. So you know, for him, he's got to be a little bit careful. Now, I know Williams' goal is to try and be as high as possible here in the AMS, and he needs to really get hold of Oromets if he can, because Oromets is in front of him on the standings. So for Williams, he's got a choice. Let Manners go, follow what Manners is doing in the same car, try and get onto the back of Oromets. I think that's the best way of dealing with that.
Yeah, more news, reference number 21, Richard Simnor, now 7th overall. Fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 25.6, and he's 3.5 tenths behind Danny Weston, who is currently leading the way in the AMS classification in 6th place. So Richard Simnor, within the first 10 minutes, he's been scything his way through the field from 19th on the grid like a whirling dervish, and he's looking to pick up his 13th overtake of the evening. And then right line astern coming through into T1. Simnor dips out, down up the inside. Danny Weston decides, well, I'm not fighting him for the lead in the class. He's one of the pros, and now that releases Simnor, who's got 2 seconds ahead of him, Derek Crowther in the BMW. So Simnor probably by the top. Now I'm looking at the gaps between Simnor and Crowther, 2 seconds. Crowther and Jones, 3 tenths. Jones and Faulkner, 4 tenths. Faulkner is 3 3/4 seconds behind, as Derek Crowther now finally is round the outside of Andy Jones, of all places, at turn 6. He's taken a leaf out of the book of Christopher Evans doing that. He's seen that probably happen. He's gone, oh, I'll have a bit of that in this rear-wheel drive BMW. He got past Andy Jones briefly, but then Jones retook the place.
Yeah, he definitely did there as well. Jones and Crowther having a go. The problem is they can't fight too long. The man on a mission, Richard Simnor, is coming. Crowther's gone to the outside now of Andy Jones. Jones slots it back in and says, nope, not this time around. Further back, Tim Perry and Arnold Chagnon are side by side. Chagnon loses that position to Perry. What about Hedgecock and Williams? Is Hedgecock going to go for it over Williams? He's not at the moment. He's still sat there, but I think this is going to be job done down into turn 1.
Yeah, if he gets the overspeed as they come over the crest, down into turn 11, through the right-hander here at turn number 12. It's going to be close. Williams is trying to keep his line. Hedgecock left rear wheel onto the grass coming out of that final corner, and that cost him that time, that run of momentum down the start-finish straight there, James, and that is why Robert Williams has been able to hold on to that place. More significantly, that's 3rd in AM.
Yeah, it definitely is. He's got Manners in front, though, putting Oromets under pressure. Mike Pierce trying to go side by side with Richard White into turn 1 here. Piercy, of course, on the recovery. He hit Barnes right at the beginning. Oh, Richard, come back. Come back.
Don't wander off. Yeah, don't wander off and do your Joker lap. This is not the kind of championship for that, I'm afraid.
That's my Titanic moment. You know what I mean? Where she's on the
yes.
door. Come back. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then the voice fades into the distance.
Yes. And then it all goes wrong. But anyway, it's an interesting one. That's the corner we were talking about. Can happen when you're going too wide. Manners and Williams are having a good old go here. I'm sure Manners. No, this is Oromets. Sorry, Manners cleared Williams. He's now going to clear Oromets. And for Williams, that could have gone on for a little bit longer, really, because Oromets is his championship rival. But here we go with Simnor and Crowther.
And swings it up the inside, nice and easy, as Simnor now takes 5th place overall. That's 14 positions gained, but Crowther was not wanting to. Crowther was looking a little bit sneaky there through turn number 2, I must admit. He was trying to park it as if to say to Simnor, yeah, you're not going to get it that easy. You got past me at turn 1, but I'll come straight back at you. And that's the good thing about the BMW. It's a car that, okay, there's only 2 out of the 23 cars that are on this grid. Careful, Danny Weston.
Did you see that?
Don't go he was getting the tail out, and that was coming out of turn 5. Yeah. So Danny Weston could have had a moment there, but he kept it on the black stuff. Oh, Robert Williams has just gone off.
Yeah.
Robert Williams. Oh, dearie me. Okay, let's have a look here. So this is coming through. I think it's turns 2 and 3.
He is.
Oh, he got a touch. That was Hedgecock, wasn't it? Aye.
Aye.
And he nearly gets collected as well. that's heartache for him. He was like looking again on board now with Hedgecock. So Williams has taken the racing line. There's the contact, left front to right rear, and Williams, bang, nose end first, and well, the Merc has seen better days. Yeah, that's the damage model on iRacing, folks.
Oh, park it, tow it back.
Yeah.
Oh, that was rough. Williams was doing well in the AMs there as well.
He definitely was. But still, Danny Weston, he's got to keep an eye on his 6 because look who's behind him. The 83 of Tim Perry. What's happened? I was just going to say, there was a little bit of a blip there with Danny. I saw him drop off and then drop back on. But yeah, Tim Perry last time around was over 0.6 of a second quicker than him. Simnor getting feisty round the outside of Andy Jones. This is through T7. Jones says, no, you do not, sunshine, and loses the back end. Simnor's to the left-hand side of him. Then we've got Crowther to the right. Oh, dearie me, this is a 3-way scrap. This is coming down the fastest part of the circuit. They've just got out of turn 8. Simnor is... Now, who is that in front? That's Crowther. Crowther got the mega side drop. Yeah, got the jump. Simnor's still looking. Careful, Richard. Don't fling it up the inside. Jones is going to go for it. And Simnor and him come together. Crowther says, I'm going to have that one. Simnor still puts the pedal to the metal coming out of the second part of the turn 10 chicane complex. And now gets the pair of them. And that is Richard Simnor up from 19th on the grid. To 4th. Jones is looking up the inside of Crowther into turn 1. The Aston Martin is just fractionally a nose ahead over the crest through into turn 2. Jones now stays in 5th position, but that was Larry coming out of turn 8, 3 wide.
Yeah, not an ideal scenario. Tim Perry, Danny Weston, Arnaud Chagnon still scrapping it out as well here. Oromets there has just been overtaken by Manners. Andy Jones still going at it with Crowther now as well. So Crowther's definitely putting himself in there. The last season's AM champion, promoted to pros this season as well. He actually messaged me, said, can I go back to AMs? I said, why? He said, well, the green banner doesn't match my orange car. I said, well, no.
Yeah, that's a slam dunk refusal right there.
Yeah, no, not happening, Mr. Crowther, but he's doing a great job at the moment. He's holding his own in the pros, and I'm impressed with him so far this season. Chagnon, but I have got to shout out Danny Weston. 8th overall, leading the AMs and doing an absolute cracking job. Stop and go penalty for Hedgecock. Oh, Jamie Dangle, that's a tough one. He had a massive overspeed, and Williams did run wide coming out of the corner. Didn't he? That's the problem.
Yeah, he did.
That's the problem.
That is the problem. When you got the overspeed, you find that the car might be a little bit unstable in comparison with, like, say, if you were just Billy No Mates. And look how quickly Tim Perry has dropped Danny Weston and Arnaud Chagnon like a pair of bad habits. He's 1.3 seconds up the road from Danny Weston, who's now got Chagnon breathing down his neck. But again, like you said, Danny Weston has done a really, really good job. He's kept things calm. He hasn't panicked. He's crossed the T's, dotted the I's, and just stayed out of trouble. If he's seen a car that's faster than him, trying to close up on him, he'll go, well, you know what? The closest driver to me at the moment is Oromets, who's down in 11th. That's another 2 cars behind him, where you got Chagnon and Ian Manners. Now the thing is, Oromets is right up the back of Ian Manners at the minute, who's 6 seconds away from this battle. So at the moment, if Danny keeps a good run of consistency on those lap times, that's going to do him all the best favours in the world, especially when it comes to the pit stop a little bit later on.
Fully agree there. Danny Weston, just keep your head, son. No need to battle where there's no need to battle. Oromets and Manners, well, they're deciding the opposite thing to that and are going side by side down into 10A and 10B. Manners does go up the inside once more. Pit window within about 10 to 15 minutes maybe. That's going to be where everybody will be making their stops as well. But Danny Weston now has got Chagnon right up behind him, and honestly, I wouldn't fight. There's no need. He's got that 6.5 second gap back to Ian Manners. and Toro Oromets. I would let Chardonnay go, unless, of course, he's not physically faster than him. So it's a tricky one at the moment, isn't it? Because the lap times last time out for Chardonnay, 1:26.7. Danny Weston, 1:26.8.
Then you look at Oromets, 1:27, high 1:27.7. So straight away, there's a disadvantage for Oromets in that BMW by nearly the tune of about a second lap. And, oh, well, Tom Weston and Adam Hedgecock might have just had a little bit of a 2 and 8 just a second ago. And there is Tom. Hedgecock a little bit further back. We can go to the Hedgecock just goes full on Tokyo Drift. That was coming out of teeth, coming through,
5.
I think, yeah, through 5. But at least he didn't end up going backwards into the barriers as a result of that.
Definitely, that was one of probably the better ones, to be honest. But yeah, it's a very tough corner. I've mentioned it, and we said it. It's tough. It will be tough. It's going to be tough. Let him go, Danny. Let him go. No need. Good job. Well done to you, young sir. Now follow him and let him see if you can pull him forward. Crowther's under pressure from Perry here. Alex with 24 minutes to go.
Simnor, in the meantime, has absolutely been decimating the gap between himself and Paddy Faulkner. The gap now, 8.5 tenths of a second, not even that. Last time out, Simnor was over 8 tenths of a second quicker. So with the pace that Richard Simnor is doing at the minute, he's going full push, being careful, making good overtakes, and just, you know, keeping his nose clean. That's exactly what he needs to do. But Derek Crowther's got to watch his 6 now, because there's Tim Perry. Tim Perry was well over 6 tenths of a second quicker than him on the previous tour as they go through into the right-hander here at turn 6. I like this complex here at turn 6 and turn 7. I mean, Christopher Evans doing a good job going around the outside, and then we also, you know, we've seen quite a few overtakes happening around there at the minute. There's Danny Weston, and Chardonnay has Chardonnay dropped the ball somewhere?
Yeah,
he's dropped it somewhere.
They've swapped positions for the 3rd time within quick succession. So it was Chardonnay, then Weston, and now Weston has managed to hold on. Chardonnay is going to have a go again up the inside of 10A. Not this time around. We've got Richard White in the mix there as well. Richard, of course, is towards the back end of the AMS. Tim Perry, Deck Crowther, side by side, round 12. Perry says thank you very much, but I'm hold on.
You're right there.
No, mate, my teeth just decided my denture fix come out. I'm pretty sure Crowther's going to have a go back. You know what it's like? You got to stick them on after you take them out of the glass in the morning.
Oh, dearie me. Signs of getting old, eh? Oh, right. Anu Oromets has just pulled into the pit lane, and we've just hit just over 22 minutes of this race completed. So that's the first pit stop. He's on the air jacks now. So car currently being fueled as we speak. Of course, for these feature races here at the JPB GT4 series, they have 50% fuel. And that is what makes it very, very interesting, especially for the pit stops. Oromets has now been in there for 19.38 seconds, so he will now rejoin right towards the tail end of the field, about half a lap ahead of Richard White, who is still trying to recover in the number 8 Mercedes. But it is going to be a case of how long does he... Well, Richard White was in the pits for 16.68 seconds on lap number 11. The Steve Veenman at the minute is losing time to Mike Pollard. Pollard did a 1:25.994 last time around. Veenman a 1:26. Well, it's 1:26.0 for it's 4 tenths that Pollard has just taken out of Veenman. So Veenman's now just got to be a little bit more careful. And considering the fact that Richard Simnor was the quickest out of the top 3, 1:26.037, 29 thousandths quicker than Pollard. They've just got to keep an eye on the delta between themselves and Simnor, because if Simnor goes a little bit longer, he could do the big old undercut and go for another W, especially from starting 19th on the grid.
My fear for Simnor on that one, and I'm only going to say this because of what he's done. He's gone full bore, right? He has put that accelerator pedal to the floor. He's made overtakes all the way through. You know, he's up 16 places. He has gone, Alex. Has he done enough, though, in the saving fuel front to go longer, or is he burnt out and he's going to have to go in earlier because of the fact that he's gone on full bore straight at the beginning? Questions.
That's the big $64,000 question that needs to be answered right now, folks. But he is still taking time out of the top two. Pollard now within 4/10 of Veenman as they come out of the sweeper here at turn number 12 and onto the start-finish straight to complete lap 17. And Simnor is gaining time. Pollard just took 2.5 tenths out of Veenman. And Simnor's time will be very, very shortly. 1 minute 25.9. So about a tenth slower than Pollard. But Pollard is just letting Veenman know that he's there, as if to say, don't forget, I'm in your rear view mirrors. You make a mistake, you slip up, I'm going to be the one that will take full advantage. Doesn't matter about the fact that they're teammates. At this early stage in the season, it is everyone for themselves. That's why we're seeing a little bit of haberdashery here or there. That's a knitting reference.
Haberdashery.
Haberdashery.
God, you're going back years. I haven't heard my mum ask me where the nearest haberdashery is for ages.
Well, the funny thing is, quick story about that, as Chris Barnes is now in the gone into the pits for his second stop. There is actually there is an old sign down by Osborne Street in Colchester, and the sign has got the word haberdashery on it.
No way.
Yep. I don't think the shop exists anymore, but it's there probably for a bit of artistic je ne sais quoi, you know?
Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? And for anybody that doesn't know what a haberdashery is, it's where you used to go and get all your knitting needles. There's all your wool. There were your patterns in there. There was your wrist needle holder. There was everything that you needed for knitting, crochet. Crochet? Crochet. I was going to call it croquet, but that's croquet's the garden game, isn't it? Yeah. What else? There was loads in there of things to do with knitting, and they just slowly dwindled out, didn't they?
Yeah, you have like you'd have like the little thumb needle on as well. Crowther's now in the pits. He's now running at the top 10. Needham is now in the pits, so that promotes Weston and Hedgecock to 10th and 12th respectively. Crowther's already getting some fuel put in the tank. Christopher Evans now in the pit lane. So we are just over we're just around about 18 minutes to go, folks. And you said, JP, that around about 30 to 35 minutes we could see the pit stops. I'm really going to be interested to see what is going to happen between the top 5, because you've got Jones, who's within half a second of Faulkner. That's the battle for P4. Simnor is taking chunks of time out of those in front. The gap at its lowest so far has been 9.1 seconds. But Veenman at the minute is just nailing what he needs to do. He's going to complete lap number 19 now, so we're into 20. We're on to lap 20. Pollard that time was just over a tenth and a half quicker, around about 0.17 on that. So the gap's now down to about 4 tenths. I think if Pollard wants to do a number on Veenman, he's got to do it in the pit lane.
Yep, I agree. He's got within that gap. He's got it down below the second, and he's been down to half a second. I'm just going to have a look and see what Andy Jones is getting on here with Paddy Faulkner. That, basically. They're literally nose to tail. But for Pollard, he's had it down. He's dropped it down, and he's kept it down, and then it's gone back up a little bit, and it's come back down again. You know, he's got to make a decision. Either go for that overcut or the undercut. Whatever you're going to do, you've got to do it soon. Because at the moment, it could be seen that Veenman's holding him up. And Chagnon, Weston and Hedgecock are now in the pits as well. Mikey Pierce has gone in and is... But then again, he pitted on lap 1, Pierce. So I've got a probably funny feeling he's going to have to pit again at some point. But Paddy Faulkner and Andy Jones still going at it. Pollard, I would go in. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. Try and get the old over-under, but Faulkner and Jones, look at... Andy Jones pulls to the right-hand side of Paddy Faulkner. This is at the fastest part of the circuit at nearly 150 miles an hour. Through turn 9, down the dip. Jones is through. That is 4th place for the 004, and that was very... I think at the end of the day, I think Paddy Faulkner was a bit sporting there. Well, no, he's going into the pits. He was slowing down to make sure that he didn't miss the pit lane entrance. So I'm now going to keep an eye on his pit box time. Whereas at the moment, Veenman and Pollard still within half a second of each other. It's like the Arise formation at the front end of the field. They're catching up to, I think that's Robert Williams, Chris Barnes, who's currently in 17th, and he's fifth in the AMs at the moment. But with just over 15 minutes to go, it's going to be a case of who blinks first. Will it be Veenman? Will it be Pollard as they get very, very close coming out of turn number 7? So this is going to give Pollard a little bit more overspeed at the minute, coming out of turn 8. So they're going to go over the slight rise here. And a little bit of undulation here, a bit like the Bud International circuit that hosted the Indian Grand Prix a few years ago. You can see now that Pollard is closing, but won't be close enough for turn 10A. Gap between Pollard and Simnor is now expanded to about 10.5 seconds, so I would imagine that Richard Simnor could be running on fumes and might have to dive into the pits. Right, there we go. Flying formation into pit road.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be what is Simnor going to do now as well. Is Simnor going to go into the pits at the same time? He is. So, where is the nearest pit man? It is Mikey Pierce, because Andy Jones is going in. What is Tim Perry? Tim Perry's coming in behind him. What about Ian Manners as well? Is Manners going to be going in at the same time? We are going to have this pit lane battle, so we'll keep an eye on that one. Manners is in now.
That was late.
Yeah.
That was very, very late indeed. That's going to promote Stefan Mallis very shortly to the race lead unless he decides to pit.
I've got a feeling he's in.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. There it is.
Oh, it was close. 1.2 seconds in the pit box shorter was Mike Pollard. And he still kept that gap within 7.5 tenths of a second. So now from this point onwards, Pollard's got to put it all on the line if he wants to get past Veenman. But Veenman might have a little bit more fuel in reserve to the checkered. Simnor exits out of the pit lane, 16.8 seconds, so exactly the same time as Veenman in the pit lane. Ian Manners now out after nearly 19 seconds. Onomets now goes 11th as a result, and now goes past Manners as a result of that. So Manners might have been caught unawares by Tauno Oromets, who is second in the AM classification in 10th overall, just about 5.6 seconds behind Arnaud Chanonnier. Stefan Mallis now rejoins in 17th overall. By my calculations, that's 5th in the AM class.
It is, yeah, it is. Mikey Pierce here, 4th in the AM, so a great little battle back from Mike Pierce. He has gone back into the pit, so whatever Pierce can do now is going to be where he will end up. So if he can get in front of Barnes, go for it. If he can get in front of Hedgecock, well, he's going to start moving up. I don't think he's going to be able to get Torno Oromets, who is battling away with Ian Manners again. And I'll say that again because they have been going at each other all the way here. Rob Williams is kind of in the way, putting it bluntly. He will love me for saying that because obviously, you know, me and Rob are friends outside of this. So let's see what this one happens here as well. But Manners, he has spreaded it up the inside coming out of 10B there. So here we go now, still carried on. Have we lost Alex all of a sudden, or is he...
No. I forgot to hit the unmute button.
Oh, okay. Push to talk, and you're talking to yourself.
Yes, indeed. I hit the space bar, nothing happened, so I've had to use the mouse click.
Oh, there you go.
But this is the battle for the race lead. Who's that they've got in front of them? That's a Merc. Is that Richard White?
Yeah, Richard White.
Oh, this is at the fastest point of the circuit as well. So come on, Mikey, get behind Steen, or is he going to thread the eye of the needle like we saw with Richard Simnor earlier on? No, he doesn't. He slots in behind the number 66. Now down the hill. This is where, as soon as they were behind Richard White, as soon as Mike Pollard was within 2 tenths, I went, right, now the race really begins, because we've got just over 11 minutes to go. They're coming out of turn number 12, and this is going to be crucial. Pollard has got the slipstream and was faster by 2 tenths on the previous tour. Gap now 2.5 tenths of a second as they fly their way through turn number 1, over the crest, through into turn 2, now down the slight dip in towards 3. Neatly touching the curb was Steen Veenman, through 4, and now it's going to be down into the S's. This is where you just got to be absolutely pinpoint precise with your steering, your brake, your throttle inputs, all the way through. It looks like Pollard got a better run coming out of turn number 5. Yes, he did. And that gap is still around 0.2 of a second. Is he going to look for the move up the inside of him into turn 6? No, holds back, waits for it. Half a car length between them. Now into 7. Can Pollard get the better run out of that corner and get the overspeed on Steen Veerman? Now this is where the slipstream is going to come into play, folks. Mike Pollard right with him. He's closing. He's closing. What is Veerman going to do? Veerman's holding his line at the minute and holding his nerve. More to the point, in towards the outside. Through turn, in the inside of turn number 9. Is Pollard going to go for the move around the outside of turn 10A? He thinks of it. Is he going to still keep it planted? No, he decides better of it. Might get the run coming out of turn 10B. But Veerman holding his line, holding his nerve, keeps the race lead for now. But whilst these two are battling away, I spot that the gap between Mike Pollard and Richard Simnor has just dipped under 8.8 seconds, and that gap is diminishing.
Yeah, it's coming down 8.7. Now, whether or not he's going to have enough over the next 9 minutes, I don't think so. He's only doing 125.88. The guys in front, 126.68. So 8 tenths faster is Richard Simnor, but at the moment he's got a big ass to be trying to do that every single lap. I'm not gonna lie. Down in the AMS, we've got Pearson Barnes still going at it as well. This is for the podium in the AMS, let's not forget. So this is for the final podium spot, which looks like, to be honest, the way Danny Weston is driven, he could end up taking that win, and I think he's going to in the AMS here as well. But this is that little AM battle. Mike Pierce recovering. Well, in fact, he was the one that said Chris Barnes at the beginning. Well, Barnes went round on his own, and then Pierce come round and sent him off into the shadow realm.
Yeah, because Pierce had nowhere to go.
No.
I mean, he just literally went, "I'm going to go right." Oh no, bang! And it just happened. It just causes that instant effect. But race leaders, less than a tenth in it. It's just gone up to 3.5 tenths. So Mike Pollard was right with the Steen Veerman. Now out of turn 10B, over the crest, under the bridge, down through into turn 11. You can now see that Pollard is starting to get a little bit more adventurous with sticking his nose out. Don't put 2 wheels on the grass, but he still carries the speed through out of the final corner. And Pollard is now saying to Veerman, "Okay, we might be teammates, but you know what? I've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. We've got 8 minutes on the clock. I've still got you in my crosshairs. You better watch out, fella."
We ain't giving up. I have never seen Mike Pollard roll over to get his belly tickled. Not gonna lie. You know what I mean? He's never ever done it. He's not a puppy, he's not a dachshund, he's more of a Rottweiler. And he will go after you until you either make a mistake or he gets through. Don't get me wrong, he has had his fair share of contact in the previous years that I've known Mikey with teammates. So let's hope they can keep it clean, but I don't think Pollard is going to give up here.
No, and that gap between Simnor and Pollard now has dropped to just under 8 seconds. I think you were probably pretty much spot on with your prediction, JP, that Richard Simnor's got an absolute mountain to climb, and that mountain is here at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. Now line astern, now getting towards side-by-side again, heading into turn 10A. Gap is less than a tenth between them. Pollard again, just trying to put the frighteners on Veerman, trying to see if he's going to make an unforced error. Veerman was a little bit slower coming out of that turn 10B. Pollard's really got a run coming out of turn number 11, out of the final corner. Lap 26 completed, and we have just 7 minutes to go. Veerman defends, Pollard switches to the outside through turn number 1. Once again, can he carry that momentum through into turn 2? He's got a real good overspeed, gets a little bit of side draft. Now down over the crest, over through turn 2, into 3. As you said, Pollard is like a little chihuahua nipping at your heels when they want something to eat for dinner time, and Pollard is giving Veerman every single frightener that he can think of, and he's even tighter on the curbs coming out of T5, gets a good run, now over the crest, down the dip, into the 90 right here at turn 6. Veerman still leading by just under 3 tenths. Pollard is going to try and make this like a grandstand finale, because we now have 6 minutes to go, out of turn 7. Now the overspeed starts to take effect for Mikey Pollard in the number 73. Now through into turn number 9. Will Pollard look to the inside through that corner. He stays behind Veman now, pulls to the right-hand side. Could he get the overspeed? They are literally wheel to wheel, side by side into turn 10A. Pollard's nosed ahead of us so slightly. He's going to keep it pinned round the outside. He's going to get the inside run for turn 10B, and he's got it. He's got it done. That is brilliant from Mikey Pollard on Steve Veman through the chicane of all places, and makes the move stick, but Veman right up his exhaust pipe coming out of the final corner.
Oh, he's not giving up. There was almost contact there as well that nearly set Veman off as well. Veman is close, going up through turn 1 as well. You can see Simnar's gap 6.1 seconds with 5 minutes to go. And Stim Veman and Mikey Pollard are not giving it up. They're sweeping through out of turn 3, down through the S's they go of 4, coming into the tricky left-hander of turn 5. They've both been liberal on the curb. I'm not gonna lie, they have literally played the curb as much as they're allowed, and now Pollard's opening up. It's about 4 tenths at the moment. Can Vinman use the draft down this straight? He's got to stay with him coming out of 7, and he's got to use it, because if he doesn't use it, Pollard is going to be off. He will be gone, and Vinman will have no chance here as well. You can see it coming down. 3 tenths on the left-hand side. 3.5 is coming down bit by bit here, Alex. Can he get him at the end of this straight?
Richard Simnor was over 1.4 seconds quicker than Steen Veenman on that previous lap. And I spot coming over the crest, coming out of turn 9. There he is. There's Simnor. That gap is now under 6 seconds. We have just 4 minutes and change still to go here at the feature race for round 3 at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta for the JPB GT4 series. Mikey Pollard has done the absolute number on Steen Veman at the minute, but going through into turn 1 on lap number 29, they're 4 tenths of a second apart. Simnor will have seen the delta decrease as he upped his pace. He did but on this particular occasion, Pollard was quicker than him by 8 1/1000ths. Simnor, in the other stretch of the imagination, was nearly 2.5 tenths of a second quicker than Steen Veman. Gap now 5.8 from second to third, but Pollard is now half a second. He's broken that window of opportunity for Steen Veman. Pollard was right on with Steen Veman, who bolted at the start, let's not forget, over nearly 42 minutes ago when the lights went out. And he kept with Veman. His strategy was keep with him, save fuel, make sure that you're a little bit quicker in the pit box, and that was personified by being in there for just over 1.1 seconds less and staying with Veman as they both came out of the pits. As this is Paddy Faulkner we're on board with.
Yeah, jump to Andy Jones. He's just gone with Tim Perry at the moment here, Alex. They were side by side going round there, and now they're fighting out down into 10A.
But still at the, this is going to be very, very close. Porsche plays Aston Martin. Gaydon playing Weissach, and this is where it gets very, very close indeed. Andy Jones will sense that there is some window of opportunity with 2.5 minutes still to go on the timer. So we will hit, at the end of this race, 31 laps, because the way things are, the leaders are about 25% of the way through lap number 30, as we've got 2.25 minutes still to go. I think at the end of the day, Mike Pollard has done the tactician play of the season in the 6th race out of 20 that we're going to have, and the 3rd feature, he just absolutely nailed it, and he's just put in a personal best. He was quicker than Veman by around 9 tenths. Simnor is slightly quicker than Veman, but with 5.5 seconds to close up in 1 minute and 45, that ain't never going to happen on a month of Sundays, especially on a Wednesday night as well. But Andy Jones is really trying to give the hustle to Tim Perry to see if he can force the 83 into an unforced error towards the end of the race and maybe capitalise and get 4th.
Yeah, definitely as well. This is Mike Pierce having a go with Chris Barnes here. The leaders are coming round 10A and 10B. They are going to be starting the final lap of the race very, very shortly. Now for Veman, this is going to be his last and final opportunity. We go on board with Perry. There is Barney on the left-hand side. He is waving frantically. Is Vinman gonna get him, Alex? Me personally says no. One of the places that might change down here is his third place in the AMS for Mike Pierce and Chris Barnes, as they're battling away as well, coming around turn 7. So there's going to be another lap under this one with these guys, because they're not going to be lapped by Vinman and Pollard. But at the moment, a nice little tidy battle down for third place in the AMS at the moment. But this is where it all is. Up front, Pollard and Vinman.
Out of turn 5 for the final time comes our race leader and our second place driver, Mike Pollard in the 73, Steen Veerman in the 66. Now through into turn 6. Just keep it cornering nicely. Don't overcompensate. Don't overdrive the car. Use the curbing on the inside of turn 7. Gap is around about 4-5 tenths. Richard Simnall, new fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 25.662. And look at what Pollard just did. He pulled to the left-hand side. Now he's trying to break the toe for Veerman. Veerman is trying to close that gap. It's about 0.4 of a second as they go down the dip out of turn 9 for the final time. Turn 10A beckons. Well, Veerman, as you rightly said, isn't going to do it, but he's got very late on the brakes into turn 10A. It's going to be a run to the checkered flag out of turn 10. Turn 10B through turn 11 out of the final corner. Your winner of the feature race here at round 3 at Road America, it is Mikey Pollard, pipping Steen Veerman by just 3.5 tenths of a second after 31 exciting laps of one of the best duels I have ever seen at the front end of the field in sim racing.
Yeah, Mike Pierce still going at it with Chris Barnes. I want to just follow this as well, because this is the third and final place. I'm going to keep an eye on Danny Weston, because Danny Weston's done an absolutely stellar job and is looking at taking the win in the AMS. He's going to come across the line right as these guys are going to hit this chicane. Well done to you, Danny. Great job taking the AM victory. But here we go now. Pierce and Barnes. Barnes is on the defense. Pierce is trying to go round. Is he going to go round a long way out of 10A? He's going to try the cutback. He's got to look at the run up the hill. Is he going to be able to get underneath him? That's going to be the question for Mike Pierce. I don't think he's going to do enough. I think Barnesy is going to hang on to that second place, and Chris Barnes does hang on there as well. Pierce just missed the entrance of 10. Didn't quite make it, but a stellar job from them guys.
Yep, there you go, folks. That is pretty much how it finishes. But Mike Pollard and Steen Veerman, I have to say, I'm just going to do this, JP. This is going to speak volumes.
Is it?
What a battle. I mean, like, if I had a hat on my head, I'd be saying chapeau right about now. But I have to say, that is that is what you want to see. Two drivers of their skill levels just going at it, hammer and tongs. And and like I said, pick a winner. I think with 15 minutes left, you said, well, come back to me with 15 to go and I might be able to tell you who the winner is. That was one where until Pollard did that round the outside manoeuvre at turn 10A on Steen Veerman, Veerman kept it planted. I'll give him credit. But Mike Pollard takes the win in the feature race here at round 3 ahead of Steen Veerman. Richard Simnall from 19th to 3rd. Biggest moves we've seen all the way through the season, up 16 positions. Tim Perry takes 4th ahead of Andy Jones, covered by just under 4 tenths at the end of it. Paddy Faulkner 6th ahead of Derek Crowther, Arnaud Chanonnier, and in 9th and taking the AM class win. Congrats to the number 69, good old Danny Weston, finishing ahead of Ian Manners, who moved up from 18th to 10th. Talnor Oromets, the Estonian in the BMW, rounded out 2nd in AM, 11th overall, ahead of Tom Weston. Chris Needham and Chris Barnes held off Mike Pierce by just under 4 tenths of a second to take another podium finish this season, as they were battling for 15th overall. Adam Hedgecock managing to finish in 16th ahead of Christopher Evans. Rounding out the field, it was Stefan Mellis in the number 54, Stuart Rice, Richard White, Robert Williams, Stuart Gibbons, and unfortunately no Jason Haddington, because it didn't look like he made it to the grid on time for our feature. But wow. And I can't wait until next week now, JP.
Yeah, unfortunately for Jason Haddington, iRacing crashed on him and then wouldn't let him get back in. So unfortunately for them, he was not able to get back into the booth. But I tell you what, I'm going to start pulling people in for chats now as they're all in denial. Stephen Venman, Mikey Pollard. Who else would you like to? I want to try and get hold of Daddy Weston, but I can't actually see him in the Discord.
He might be. He might have decided to ixnay on the S-Gray on that one.
Yeah, maybe. But there we go. Right, there we go, Alex. There's a couple for you there to have a go with. If you want to start off with Mikey Pollard and Stephen Venman, go for your life. Who would you like?
Let's bring in Mikey first of all.
All right, well, there we go, Mikey Pollard. And Alex, it's all yours.
Mikey Pollard, that was one hell of a race. You and Stain were like literally bumper to bumper all the way through that feature. You must be absolutely exhausted after that one.
Yeah, I'm exhausted and I'm hot and I'm sweating, but I'm buzzing a bit. Yeah, that was a great race. I knew that we needed to keep it safe after what happened in the opening laps of the sprint race. Didn't want to take my teammate out, so sort of stayed behind and just tried to stay in touch. And then I think maybe I just had a bit more tyres left after the pit stop and a little bit more pace. I made about 4 attempts to pass him, but he defended really well. And then finally managed to get through the chicane. Great racing.
Of all the places, turn 10A, you just decided to throw the Hail Mary. And I'll have to give you both credit. You both gave each other plenty of racing room. And Stain, was leading right up into the pit stop. You were right on his bumper. You were in the pit box, I think, for about 1.2 seconds less than him. How was the fuel saving? That must have been crucial to your strategy as well.
Yeah, I was focusing on trying to save fuel, and I was very close to being able to go one more lap, but it was, a fraction of a litre below, so I didn't want to risk it. So it was pretty much touch and go. But yeah, I was a bit disappointed to come out behind him. But we had a good fun race afterwards, so really enjoyable evening.
Next week, Circuit Zandvoort, it's Stain's home turf. How do you fancy your chances at that one if you get into another great battle like you did tonight here at Road America?
I quite like Zandvoort, but I don't expect Richard and Tim to have the issues that they had tonight, starting so far back in the feature race. So it'll be a different race entirely, hopefully between the 4 of us. Another podium would be nice. We'll see how it goes.
Well, Mikey, before we let you go, anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Just my kids, actually. My 3 boys. They may well be watching this. Dexter, Lance, and Cal. Hi, guys.
Well, at least you'll be saying that to him in person just in a couple of minutes' time. But Mikey Pollard, congratulations on winning the feature race here at Road Atlanta. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Well, there you go. Next up for you,
let's have a chat with the Flying Dutchman because we're heading to his home turf next week. Anyway, Stain Veenman, good evening. I have to say, I've just spoken to Mikey after that battle. You must be feeling the same way he is, exhausted, hot, sweaty, needing a very, very well-deserved drink after that titanic battle for 31 laps.
Oh, absolutely. I wasn't already feeling too well at the beginning of the day, just a bit out of the weather. So I'm absolutely sweating right now. So I didn't have a lot of energy left and not a lot of tires left at the end of the race. But at the beginning of the week, I was already a bit behind them this week. I wasn't really feeling the pace. So I'm just happy to be fighting for P1. And after the pit stop, Mike just was all over me. So I didn't have a lot left to defend.
I think also the exchange between you and him with just a handful of laps to go where he sent it around the outside. When you saw that happening, because it coming through turn 9, we saw you trying to break the toe. Mikey then switches to the outside run going into turn 10A. What were your first thoughts when he was pretty much door handle to door handle with you going through that complex?
Yeah, every time I think we went side by side there quite a few times, and every time he was somewhat behind me. I couldn't really see him on my side, and that time he was basically in front of me in the braking zone. And I didn't expect to hold him off for that long after the pace he showed. So at that point, I was already thinking if this wasn't my teammate, he would have already gone by. He would have been a lot more aggressive. So I think in that sense we just gave each other a bit more room, and at that point I kind of knew that I would be P2 at the end of this race.
And we go to your neck of the woods. We go to Circuit Zandvoort, just off of the North Sea coast next week. You excited about that one because it's home turf?
Oh, that's right. I haven't driven the new layout in iRacing yet, so I really enjoyed the previous layout, but I heard that the new layout can be quite challenging, especially T4. So it'll be interesting to see how I get on.
Yeah, I think probably the approach into Tarzanbach will probably be just as bumpy as it ever has been in real life. But yeah, the banking, I think going through like turns 3, turn 4, especially like Hugenholtz, it's going to be really good. And we look forward to seeing how you get on your home turf next week, Stain. But well done tonight. Congrats on the P2 despite feeling under the weather. Anyone you want to shout out tonight before we let you go?
I think it will just be the team. We always push each other, and I think we have had a 1, 2, 3 at the second race, so that's always really nice to see.
Well, Stain Vaneman, thank you for joining us for a brief interview, and get well soon. Get yourself ready and prep for Zandvoort next week, okay?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, let's have a chat with Barnsley, shall we? Yeah, yeah. Mr. Barnes, good evening. What a fight! What a fight back after a drama coming out of the final corner on the start.
Yeah, stupidity. I just bounced off the curb and that was it. Game over. But yeah, I was determined to do as best as I could, and I finished third, didn't I?
Third in AMS, yeah.
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
you fended
So-
off Mikey Pearce by about 4/10 at the flag.
Don't. He drove the wheels off that thing. He is one quick driver, and seeing him in the mirror is very unnerving. So trying to defend from him was one thing, but yeah, I think it's going to be a good battle with him this season.
I was going to say that, considering the fact that if you were a cat, you'd have 9 lives. I think probably by the time that you'd crossed the line, you'd lost all 9 of them, hadn't you?
Probably, mate. Yeah, I don't know how I managed to keep that thing on the track tonight, but I'm happy with how it finished. So shame that Pearce had the mistake in race 1, because I reckon he was going to have me in race 1 as well. So, and in race 2, I was just hanging on for dear life because I knew we only had minutes left. So it was like keep him behind me and just do what I can do.
I mean, let's briefly take you back to the sprint race. You know, finishing, taking the AM class win, plus
Yeah.
also finishing P3 when we saw the likes of Perry, Simnor, all having dramas.
Yeah.
And you just sort of like go, you know what? I'm gonna take as much advantage of this as humanly possible.
Yeah.
What were your first thoughts when you crossed the line? You went, "Holy crap! I've just finished P3 and I've won the class as well."
Yeah, I realised I was third overall, probably 2 laps before the end, I think it was, and then it was like, oh no, because then the pressure sets in, and it's like I've got to finish this. And I think I had Pearce behind me then as well, didn't I? And it was like, oh no, this is going to end badly. And unfortunately, it ended badly for Pearce. So I crossed the line, and I was like, oh, I finished P3 overall. So yeah, it was. Well, I'll take it. I'm well happy with it.
There you go. Thoughts about Zandvoort next week?
I don't mind the track. I'm going to start getting a bit more practice in, I think. I don't know whether it's because I've changed car or what it is, but I don't seem to be quite as good as I was in the Porsche. So we'll see. But yeah, just going to start getting a bit more practice in, I think.
Well, Chris, anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go tonight?
Yeah, all the boys from Triple P, Blades Designs, lads from SRL, yourselves, because you do a fantastic job. And yeah, keep it going.
Brilliant. Chris Barnes, thank you very much. We'll see you next week for round 4 at Zandvoort.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Well, some very happy campers there, JP, after what's been an exciting third round of the of season 2 of the JPB GT4 series here at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta, wouldn't you say?
I think at the end of the day, they're all going to be happy with what they've achieved. They're all going to be happy with the fact that they've managed to keep it out of the wall. They've all going to be finished. Obviously, some aren't, some will, some be okay. But at the end of the day, Zandvoort next week. I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, big thank you to Sim Racing community for their continued sponsorship of the JPB GT4 series, of course, coming up on the JP Broadcasting Network over the course of the next few days. Well, Season 2 of Evolution Sim Racing makes its return with a promo race live tomorrow night from the Red Bull Ring. We then head to the Radical Race Series Season 4 Round 2 at the Circuit de Nevers Magny-Cours. That'll also be that same evening. Then we got Season 1 of the Premier Endurance League UK GT3 Championship happening on the 24th. And then everyone's favourite, if you love your Formula 3, IGP Fun Season 4 Round 2 live from Japan. Of course, the Suzuka International Racing Course. Thank you very much for tuning in to join myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and James Parfitt. James, take us out.
Well, guys, that is it. That brings us to the end of this evening. Thank you so much for everybody joining us here as well. But for now, guys, for myself up here in the booth alongside Alex, as he said, take care, have a great week, and you never know, we might see you on the track sometime. Good night.